Good morning, boys and girls. We're going to look at some fraction work now for a couple of weeks, and we're going to start off today by exploring fractions and understanding them and then going from there. So our fraction starts off being always focusing on a whole amount. So it's always a whole thing, a whole bar here in this case. And what happens with that whole is it is split up into amounts. So the whole of something is split up. The whole is divided into equal parts. That equal is really important. So here, I'm just going to divide this up into equal parts. And you can see the stem sentence at the bottom. The whole is divided into equal parts. In this case, we have 3 equal parts. Now that tells us what goes on the bottom of our fraction. So the whole bar is divided into 3 equal parts. That goes on the bottom of our fraction. It's called the denominator. And then we work out on the top how many of those parts I've got. So here I've got 1, 2 of those parts. So the whole is divided into 3 equal parts, and we have 1, 2 of those parts. And the number that goes on the top of our fraction is called the numerator. That's really important, that sentence at the bottom. We've got a whole. Whatever the whole is, it's divided into equal parts, and then we have some of those parts. If we look at it the other way, we might be given a fraction. So here, we're going to be given a fraction this time. We're going to have 2 as our numerator and 4 as our denominator. So what does that look like? Again, we're going to draw out a bar. And this is exactly what you guys are going to do today. We're going to draw out a bar so we can see it. We then know the bar has been divided into 4 equal parts. So I'm going to divide mine here into 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. They're all the same size. Okay? They are not like this. This would not be equal parts here. So there's a slightly smaller bar. If I had one really small, one massive, and then one like that, those are not equal parts. Okay? They have to be the same size when we are doing it. Okay? So here we've got the whole. It's divided into 4 equal parts, and we have 2 of those parts. Now, it could be any 2 we wanted. Okay, we could have that one and that one. That there shows me that I've got 2 quarters. We call it, when it's got 4 on the bottom, quarters. So 2 quarters. 2 is my numerator, tells me how many parts I've got. 4 tells me how much the whole is split up into. Now, sometimes we'll get a fraction and it won't be a bar. And it won't be numbers, it will be a different shape. So have a look at this shape here on the screen now. So this shape, if we look at it, the whole, it's a circle, is divided into 5 equal parts. It's divided into 5 equal parts. And coloured in, we have 3 of those parts. So my denominator is 5, my numerator is 3. Now, circles are tricky to draw, so I'm going to convert that fraction into a bar model. Now I'm having 5 equal parts. I'm trying to draw all these so they are equal. Oh, that one's not on the end, so I'll just rub it out. Make it so we do have equal parts. Now it's important we have those equal parts. So I've got my whole this time. I've changed it from that circle into the bar. Bars are easier to work with, easier to draw, and easier to link to other maths. So I've got my whole, I've divided it into 5 equal parts, and I've then got 3 of those parts. Just like above, we can have any 3 that we'd like. So I'm going to pick 1, 2, 3, and I've got there 3/5, and I've drawn it as a bar. Now on your Do It today, you've got a massive variation in the types of questions. Some questions are as bars, and I want you to write the fraction that goes with it. Other questions are like the circle over here, and then we've got I want you to draw the bar and the fraction. So for every question today, you should have a fraction written in numbers and a bar model to go with it. Doesn't matter what it starts with from there. Now on the next slide, have a look at the pictures, have a look at the fractions, have a go at it on your own, and then I will go through all of them today, just because it's a little bit tricky to get our heads around to start with. Okay, a little bit different way today of just going through the questions. I thought I'd show you how to do them. So if we look at our top question to start with there, we've got the whole is split up into 3. So the whole's divided into 3 equal parts. And there are 2 of those parts shaded. So I have 2/3. The next one down, my whole has been divided into 5 equal parts, and I've got 4 of those equal parts. Now, I don't need to draw the bars for those because it's giving me them as bars, which is nice. My next one down, I've got the whole, and it's split up into 4 equal parts, but now the 2 is still 2 coloured in, it's just a slightly different way round. So I've got 2/4. This one, right, my first one circle picture now. So I'm going to look at it. The whole has been split up into 5 equal parts, and I have 1 of those, so 1/5. Now I'm going to draw this also as a bar, because it's better to work with the bars, and you'll see why it's better to work with the bars as we go further through our fractions. So there's my bar. My whole has been divided into 5 equal parts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I've got 1 of those parts. Now my last one here, I'm giving you the fraction. So it's 2/6, okay? And again, I'm going to draw the bar to help us out. This is the kind of answer to this question, is drawing the bar. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a big one to finish. So I'm just going to rub that out a tiny bit and just put it back so it is into 6, okay? So there we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The whole has been divided into 6 equal parts. I've got 2 of those parts, and I could put those 2 anywhere I wanted. So there's my 2/6. Now if we look at the other column, I start off with 3/5. So 3/5 is my starting, which means the whole has been divided into 5 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 equal parts. My numerator tells me I've got 3 of them. So 1, 2, 3. I can put them wherever I want. There's my bar for that one. Now my next one is a little bit trickier to try to work out. You'll have to count the screen to work it out. So it is out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 equal parts. Now this is why it's nicer to use a bar than it is a circle. If we were cutting a circle into 9 equal parts, it would be rather tricky. But with this, it's a little bit easier. So we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think my whole has been divided into 9. Let's just check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9 equal parts. And looking at that circle picture again, I've got 1, 2, 3 together for 5. So it's given me 5. My denominator tells me it's divided into 9. My numerator tells me I've got 5. And again, I can put those 5 wherever I want. Here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there's my bar for that. Now, that's a prime example there of why it's nicer to use a bar to look at it, easier to draw and do equal parts for a bar than it is for a trickier circle question or some of the harder shapes ones. If we look at the one below, the whole is out of 8. The whole bar is bar, but it's cut a different way. The whole shape is out of 8 this time. So I'm going to chop this up into 8. I think they're equal. And there's 8, okay? And I've got 6 of those 8 pieces. So 6/8. 6, the numerator tells me it's 6, and I've got 8 of the 8 altogether. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Should look something like that. My next one, again, the whole this time is out of 6. The triangle's been chopped up into 6 equal parts. They're just different shapes to how we would normally look at them. Again, we'll convert it into a bar. And the bar, nice, easier to draw than that shape we've got on the screen, definitely. So it's out of 6. The whole is divided into 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They are equal, and I've got 1 of those 6. Now my final one, a bit of a funny shape, but all the parts are equal, so it's still a fraction because all the parts are equal. We're just going to turn it into a bar model so it's a bit easier to see. Now the whole, that cross, is actually split up into 4 shapes. So we've got 4 shapes. My denominator's 4, okay? And shaded are 3 of those shapes. 1, 2, 3. So you should have questions that look like this, where we've converted the fractions into the bar and vice versa. If you need to pause just to have a little look, feel free to do so. On the apply it, just have a little look at this question below. Explain why this image cannot be written as a fraction. Why can it not be written as a fraction? And then on the next slide after, I'll show you a good explanation. Okay, having a look at why this can't be. Now, the obvious thing when you look at the stem sentence below is the fact that it's not got equal parts. Okay, for a bar to be split up into 4, we would need them, even with my terrible drawing, we'd need them to be equal. Okay, so for the parts to be equal, it is out of 4, so the whole is split up into 4 equal parts, and it does have 2 shaded in. Okay, so it would be 2 on the top, the numerator 2, the denominator 4. So 2 over 4, 2/4 is what it would be. But that image is not showing us a fraction because it's not got those equal parts that we're looking for. Right, I'll solve it for today. We should have 4 numbers on the screen which we can see. Now, our challenge for today's solve it is to find as many fractions as we can using that number. So we know a fraction needs a denominator on the bottom, and it needs a numerator on the top. Now you can pick any of those numbers to make as many fractions as we can, but the only rule I've got is that the denominator, the number at the bottom, the number that we divide into equal parts, has to be the biggest number. So if I look at those, I can't have 3 on the top and 1 on the bottom. I can't have that because 3 is a bigger number than 1. So I have to just have a look at how many I can make. So I'm going to pick one. I know if I put 3 as my denominator, and I'm going to put 1 on the top, so that's 1/3. Now once I've created it, I also need to draw the bar for it as well. I've got a bar divided into 3 equal parts, and I've got 1 of those parts. And what I want you guys to do is see how many different fractions you can make using all of these numbers at the top. How many can you make using those numbers?